y'all, it's your girl Missniecy, and I'm here to do a review for Sistas Season 7, Episode 5. The episode starts off with Zach asking Karen for a DNA test, and she's like, what? I thought we already knew who the dad was because it excluded hair. Zach is like, not really, because you didn't get my DNA. Karen's face in that moment tells everything. She's looking like, oh my god, I just got caught. Girl, yes you did. We don't let Zach eat the daddy. Zach is like, we just want to know the truth. And Karen's like, so you think I'm lying? Karen's like, who's we? Zach is like, how am I supposed to know if I'm that kid's father? Just because you rolled out hair, that doesn't mean it's me. Karen's like, so you calling me a slut now? Zach is like, I'm not calling you anything, but I did hear how you used to get down in college. Karen tries to walk away from the situation, but Zach pulls her back, and that's when Karen says, you know what, this sounds like it got Fatima written all over it. She's the reason why you sitting here calling me a slut and calling me a liar. It's like, here I am thinking that you're here to congratulate me, but you're here to start some mess and call me a slut and a liar. Zach is like, I'm not here to do any of that. I'm here to see if I can get a DNA test so that I can know if the child's mine, because I want to know if I'll be the one taking care of it. Karen's like, no, and Zach is like, no what? Karen's like, I don't even want you to be in our child's life anymore. Zach is like, I want to be in my child's life if it is my child. Karen's like, you can go now. That's when Trey walks up and he asks Karen if she's okay, and then he turns to Zach and he's like, look man, I don't want no problems. I'm just checking on Karen. Trey, this will be the time for you to mind the business that pays you, and that's delivering packages, because you have no idea what's going on in this situation, and it's best for you to stay out of it. Over at the gay bar, Maurice is there because he's supposed to be one of his subscribers from his webcam show. Coming to find out, the guy's name is Grayson. He just moved to Atlanta 3 months ago after being married for 8 years, and he lost his husband to cancer. Maurice is like, that's beautiful that you were able to take care of him like that. Grayson's like, could you ever do something like that? Maurice is like, that's a 5th date question. Grayson's like, I would love to make it to the 5th date, but let's just see how this 1st date goes. Back over at the salon, Miss Lisa sees everybody talking, and she looks at Zach and she's like, what are you doing here? I thought I told you to leave. He's like, don't worry about it, I'm leaving. As Zach is leaving, Pam comes over to talk to Karen, and she's like, Karen, you know you're wrong, right? If Zach wants to be in that child's life, let him. Pam is like, I like Trey, but delivering packages ain't gonna do it. Zach has the fun, so let him help. Miss Lisa comes back over to check on Karen to see if she's okay, and Karen's like, when did you talk to Zach? Miss Lisa's like, I talked to him in the parking lot, but I told him it wasn't a good idea for him to be here. Karen's like, well, you see, he didn't listen. Miss Lisa's like, none of y'all listen, but I think you should sit down. Karen's like, I don't want to sit down. And as they are talking, Danni walks in drunk, and she's like, Karen, you've been through a lot, and I'm very proud of you, from the salon burning down to not knowing who your baby daddy is to you being pregnant. But I'll always be here for you, even though I have my own stuff going on. I'm in therapy now. And that's when Karen takes the bottle from Danni. Karen gives a speech trying to save face for what Danni just did, and Danni knows she was wrong for doing that, and I don't even know why she did that. Over at Zach and Fatima, Zach is giving Fatima the rundown on what happened at the salon and how Karen tried to cause a scene because Zach asked for a DNA test. Fatima's like, she didn't try to put her hands on you, did she? Zach is like, no, she wouldn't do that. Fatima's like, I wouldn't put anything past her. Zach is like, there was a delivery guy there that was trying to defend her honor like he was tough, but I didn't do nothing. Fatima's like, see, that's the reason we need a DNA test, but let's focus on Michael, the child that is yours. I've been looking at some schools and therapists because I know that he's going to need therapy after everything he's been through. Zach is like, thank you so much for this, and I love you so much, and I don't know how you put up with all this, but I love you. Zach, if I had $1 for every time you said that, I'd be rich, and I thank you so much for that. Over at the law firm, we see Andy getting a call from Jordan because Jordan calls to ask her to take her out to dinner at 7:30, and of course she says yes. They talk for a little bit more, but she hangs up because she sees Fatima coming in her office. Fatima's like, let me guess, that was Jordan. And Andy's like, yeah, that was him. Fatima's like, I'm so happy for you and how happy he makes you. You deserve it. Andy's like, I do. It does feel nice to be with someone that cares about me and I can trust them. Fatima's like, tell me about it. Andy consents that thumbs up with Fatima, so she's like, why are you here? Fatima's like, you know I hate asking about Karen. Andy's like, so you was going to ask me how Zach went up to the salon and caused a scene because he asked for a DNA test? Fatima's like, she told you that you went up there and caused a scene? Andy's like, no, it was Danni. Danni was drunk and she was high, and she told me the story, so it might be one of those scenes from the reality show she watches. Fatima's like, Zach did not cause a scene. All he did was go up there and ask for a DNA test. Andy's like, well, that wasn't the right time or the place. Fatima's like, he didn't go up there to fight nobody. It was just a delivery guy there trying to defend Karen's honor, and he didn't do anything. Andy's like, delivery guy? Zach doesn't need to be in a fight with a stranger right now. His case is hanging in the balance, and this doesn't look good for him. Fatima's like, Andy, I know, but can you just talk to her? Because we need to know. Andy's like, I'm not touching that situation with a 10-foot pole. I have my own stuff going on, from this case, the FBI investigation, Jordan, and trying to make partner. Fatima's like, speaking of trying to become partner, I think Hayden's up to something. I seen him having a meeting with Jones, and he had a lot of papers in his hand. Then we see Andy, and she's looking out our office window, and she sees Hayden smiling as he's talking to one of the partners, and you can tell Hayden is definitely up to. Over in Gary's office, Gary is listening to something on his computer, and what he's listening to is Jordan's campaign speech. Come to find out, Gary has paid somebody to create a story on Jordan just so that he could take Jordan down and destroy his career, just so that he could have Andy back. Then we see Danni having a therapy session with a therapist, and they're talking about Danny's past relationships, and Danni tells the therapist how she didn't expect to fall for Preston and like him so much because he's white and country and he comes from a racist family and she's black from Detroit. The therapist is like, somehow y'all always ended up back together. Danny's like, yeah, but one time he was on a break and I started seeing this guy named Jonah. One day he started beating on me and started talking me crazy, so I ran him over with my car. The therapist is like, he's alive, right? Danny's like, unfortunately, yeah. The therapist is like, have you been in any other abusive relationships? Danny's like, yeah, in college I dated this guy named Weston. He used to criticize everything about me, and one day he took me into the locker room and started beating me and choking me and calling me all these names. And this is where all Danny's relationship trauma comes from, because she's never truly healed from that relationship, and this is the relationship that the girls always bring up when they try to talk some sense into Danny. Over at the juice bar, Sabrina goes to see Rich at work, and Rich is excited to see her, but he's excited to see her to tell her that he got the green light on getting a new location. So he's showing her the blueprint of everything and where it's supposed to go, and Sabrina's looking not interested. She's like, I'm happy for you, but I actually have some plans on my own. And Rich is like, well, if you need any help, I can help you. Sabrina's like, it has nothing to do with business. I'm actually thinking about freezing my eggs. Rich is like, oh yeah, that's cool. I know you want to be a mother and you need an alternative just in case we don't work out. This is Rich's way of telling you, Sabrina, that he's not going to be with you. So you need to let this relationship go, because there's no need in forcing something that's not going to happen. Sabrina, why would you tell him this type of information in a public setting, let alone his job in the first place? Yeah, the salon, Miss Lisa comes bearing gifts, and the gifts comes in the form of a check. She hands Karen a check. Miss Lisa asks Karen what her plans are in terms of the shop, and Karen's like, the shop will pick up. Miss Lisa's like, what if it doesn't? Karen's like, I'll do what I have to do. Miss Lisa's like, so what are you gonna do with the DNA test that Zach is asking you? Karen's like, I'm tired of being questioned, and I don't even know if I want him in the child's life anymore. Miss Lisa's like, well, just give him the answers that he's asking for. She basically tells Karen not to block her blessings, and Karen's like, I'll think about it. What is there to think about? Once Miss Lisa leaves, Trey comes in with another delivery. He sits down, he talks to Karen, he basically asks her to go out to lunch with him. Karen says yeah. Karen, don't be playing with this man's feelings if you're not really that into him, because he looks very into you and you don't even know him. You do not know what he's capable of, so please be very careful. Over in Gary's office, Penelope comes over to bring him lunch, and she realizes that he's not there, so she sits behind his desk and goes through his things again. She finds a picture of Andy, and she finds a warrant, and she's like, Gary, what are you up to? And as soon as she says this, Gary's walking to the door. Gary's like, why are you behind my desk and why are you going through my drawer? Penelope's like, would you believe that they wouldn't give me silverware? Gary doesn't believe that for one bit. He's like, what are you doing here anyway, and why are you so concerned with my information? She's like, I'm here to feed my man. Gary says he's not hungry. Penelope says, well, I'm gonna let you get back to work. I'll see you at home. Penelope, you gonna get us caught tying up on your poker face, love. It's not looking good for you. Then Hudson comes back in the office and he's like, who is that? Gary's like, my irritating fiance. Hudson's like, do you want something to take the edge off? He's offering Gary that booger sugar. Gary's like, I don't want it now, but I'm gonna need it later. Gary's like, I'm trying to focus on the story and make sure. Apparently, Gary paid this girl to say that Jordan has a kid by her or something that involves a child, because that's a birth certificate. So, I don't know where this story is supposed to go, but I know it's about to get real messy. Over in Tony's office, Tony is asking Danni how therapy went. She's like, it went. Danni is basically being evasive with her answers and trying to avoid all Tony's questions because she's not really trying to talk and she's trying to shut him out. He asked if he could take her to lunch. She was like, no. He asked if he could come over. She was like, no. Danni is just trying to shut this man out. Over at the law firm, Fatima was telling Andy that she was listening to Jordan's campaign and how his opponent was going through a scandal, and how the scandal is that he slept with his secretary and he started sleeping with her when she was 16 years old. So Fatima's like, tell Jordan to be careful, because once they start taking up scandals on one person, they do it to everybody. And he's like, Jordan will be okay. He hasn't been in any scandals. And that's when Hayden walks up, because he's standing there, and he's like, I hope you ladies have a good rest of your day. Over at the bank, Paige is having trouble. She approaches Sabrina because she thinks Sabrina did something wrong to one of the files for one of the customers. The whole time Paige was reading it wrong. So Sabrina had to get her together. I didn't do anything wrong. You're just reading it. Sabrina's like, why are you so concerned about me anyway? Don't you have work to do? I'm like, yeah, Sabrina, get her together. Sabrina calls Maurice to let him know what happened, and he's like, you need to become manager again so you can hire me so I could cuss her out. Sabrina's like, that's not necessary. I handled it myself, but I do have something to tell you, so we should meet up soon. Maurice is like, I got something to tell you too. Sabrina's like, well, Rich and the girls are planning something for my birthday, so you should come over then. I'm like, wow, we actually celebrating birthdays now? Then we see Gary in the car and he's getting a call from Hayden and he's like, oh, you actually want to talk now? Hayden's like, don't do that, you know we boys. He's like, I'm actually calling to let you know that I heard Fatima talking to your girl Andy about Jordan and his companion. You don't want the situation to go too far. Gary's like, don't worry about it, I'm taking care of it. He hangs up the phone from Hayden, right? And he pulls out this bag of booger sugar. I'm like, you really let Hudson tuck you into doing something like that? I thought you was better than that, Gary. I guess not. Well, we know you not, but dang. I didn't think you would resort to something like this. Back over at the law firm, Fatima and Andy are leaving for the day, and Fatima's like, don't you have to get ready for your date with Jordan? Andy's like, yeah, I'm about to leave now. Fatima's like, I like how happy Jordan makes you, and I like him for you, but pay attention to the red flags, because Gary was this way too. I don't want you to end up in another situation like that. And Andy's like, okay, yes, Mom. Back over in Tony's office, Danni comes back, and she sits down and talks with him, and she's like, sorry for earlier. There was just a lot going on in therapy, and I'm not used to dealing with it. Tony's like, I know therapy is a big step for you, and I'm very proud of you. And I know a lot of things happen in there. But don't shut me out, because I want to be there for you, and I want to be your shoulder to lean on. And he's like, Krisha did tell me that my defense mechanism is shutting people out, and I'm trying to do better and work on it. First, Danni didn't want him to come over, but at the end of the conversation, she agreed to let him come over, and Tony was like, I'll be there in 15 minutes. Over at Zach and Fatima, Zach is going over paperwork for Michael's case, right? And Fatima's like, don't stress. Zach is like, I just want to be there for my kids and spend as much time with them as I can, especially Mike's like, well, you don't even know if one of those kids is yours. Andy is having a good time on her date with Jordan, but she brings up the scandal with Jordan's opponent, and Jordan's like, I thought he was a family man. Apparently not. Andy's like, well, he is a politician, so the shoe fits. Jordan's like, well, not all politicians lie. Jordan's like, well, you don't have to worry about me because I ain't got nothing to hide. Jordan, little do you know there's a story brewing up about you right now. Andy and Jordan do a toast to no scandals. They enjoy the rest of their day having a good time. Then we see Gary, and he's outside of the location where Andy and Jordan are having their date. He's looking at them coming outside the restaurant being all lovey-dovey, right? So you're just looking at them. As he's looking at them, he does a line of booger sugar trying to start the process of doing his mission. So he grabs his pole and starts up the pole, but he realizes he's not as gangster as he thought he was. So he just lets him drive away. Gary claims to be about it, but he's not about it. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your bell notifications. Bye!